Welcome back to the Wayfinder's Path. I'm Chanel Barona. Today we are doing a collective tarot reading for the new moon in Taurus, which is also an eclipse, and Pluto retrograde, which is starting this week. And so we've got a lot going on. Now, generally speaking, eclipses are times where it's not about manifesting. It may be about, with a new moon, setting an intention, but it's usually where things are falling away. That being said, this moon is a little special. Based on its specific placements and interactions with several other planets, this moon's actually really, really important. It's the intentions you're setting with this moon are kind of what rules the next 6 months of your life. These are the big goals that you're working towards, the big dreams. So it's really a time to get super clear on that, do some energy work to make sure you're really centered, despite kind of the chaos that can come with eclipses. There's likely to be big epiphanies, big news, things like that coming in that may change the course of your life in very significant ways. And coupled with the fact that it's pretty much having Pluto going retrograde at the exact same time, it's a lot. Pluto retrograde is going to be, any retrograde in general, is going back over what you've already done to see it from a different way, to make sure that you did the work right. So Pluto rules death, our shadow side, it can rule deep pain, the underworld, birth, transformation. It rules our power. It's where we get our personal power, is from our emotional capacity. So Scorpio and Pluto, similar energies, same energies, they're all about the deep inner wells of emotional strength, and also deep inner pain may be coming up to the surface. So have a lot of grace with yourself as you move through this, and know that for the 6 months, we will be transforming our lives. Hopefully we're going to be aligning in the direction we want to go, which is why I'm here today with you for this reading. So let's go ahead and jump into the cards, and let's see what comes out, what our spirit guides have to say. I'm using the Mus Tarot because I'll be using this for our new moon circle we're actually having on Saturday. If you're in Los Angeles and you'd like to attend, the info will be linked in the comments below. So the Mus Tarot is all about connecting to our creativity, and this is big Taurus energy. This is Venus. It's what we desire. It's what we go after. There's also big themes of money and what we're doing for our career, and our love lives are also really in focus. So anything Venusian are the energies that you want to be really aligning to at this time. And we also have Beltane this weekend, which is a fire festival, and it is about creation, the point of conception, the first steps into the world where you actually see something tangibly instead of just thinking about it. So that's probably, if you're living in tune with the cycles of the earth, that's probably something you're seeing. The first stages of effort are really starting to bloom and blossom. So let's see what our guides have to say today. So I want to start off with kind of some things that we need to be letting go of collectively, maybe what to not carry with us in this next cycle before we go into the new moon tomorrow. We have the Fool, so which means that accepting that things are different now than they once were. There's not much that you have to carry forward. The lessons, the knowledge, all of that's within you. But with the Fool, it is telling you that this is big new chapter energy. New jobs, new relationships, new lives, new starts, fresh, clean slate. And that's a really healthy energy to look at things from. And as things come up that feel like they're from the past, those are where you get to reevaluate them with that Pluto retrograde energy and the challenges and all the things that you're going to learn along the way. But really starting from this putting a fresh foot forward, moving forward with inspiration, with creativity, and knowing that there's a big transformational journey happening. This is also feeling like you maybe don't know what you're doing. That's okay. You don't have to. You only have to focus on what is the aligned next step to make at this time. How about, let's go for some present energy here. What are some of the things we're dealing with? Ooh. We have the 10 of Voices, the 7 of Voices, and the Knight of Inspiration. In this deck, voices represent swords. It represents how we communicate, how we think. It is our clarity of thought. And with this one, the 10 of Voices and the 7 of Voices, this is we are uncovering past hurts right now. Those things are very in focus. The Ten of Voices could be past betrayals. These are just, but at the end of the day, these are things that really just like stick with you. This is things that cause you pain and cause you suffering. And some of these with that Seven of Voices, I really do feel like it's either realizing maybe where someone didn't have our best interests at heart. This could be where someone has stabbed us in the back, has betrayed us, or where we're maybe betraying ourselves by shunning and hiding certain things that we're trying to cut corners on. We're keeping secrets. This is very almost trickster energy. So I would be, especially in this card, this one has foxes on it, which are this trickster energy. And I feel like right now requires you to have some really intellectually driven clarity of thought. Your emotions may not be leading you necessarily in the right way at this time. With the Ten of Voices, like I said, it's you've got those little inner voices that are coming up and saying you can't do this because of what you've experienced before. You feel like you're going to run into the same problems. You're going to find yourself back in this cycle. You're afraid that it's just going to perpetuate a cycle of pain. But remember, with this Fool card, this is something that we really have to move forward. We don't really get to go backward. Even though we are reviewing things, we're doing so on a higher level of the spiral rather than just going in a circle. And so if you feel like you're going in a circle, that's okay. You are going to be reviewing things that have already come. Now, the way through this is to really be looking at, so this is that Knight of Inspiration card. Now, the Knight of Inspiration is the equivalent of the Knight of Wands. This is our fire energy, our passion, our creativity, the things that drive us to move forward. And this is also letting you know that you're kind of refining what that may be looking like. Knights are kind of like, there's room for growth with Knight energy. And so at this time, it is most like where you feel compelled is what you need to follow. You need to make sure that you're not listening to the voices of others superior to yourself, but you also may need to make sure that you're being really honest. With that Seven of Voices card, it asks for, like, it talks about the consequences of dishonesty. So if there's anywhere that you're not being honest with yourself or honest with somebody else, it's time to start really looking at that. Also with the Knight of Inspiration, making sure that the things that we're aligning ourselves to are driven by passion. You know, this is that Taurus Venus energy. This is the goddess of love. So this is sex, money, abundance, wealth, all of that kind of rolled into one, and it stems down to what do we desire. And what you desire is kind of your guiding light through all of this, because you are navigating some old pains, some old wounds, and you are navigating secrets and the unknown. So that creativity is your lantern. It is your guiding light through all of that's coming on. Let's see. All right, so another stack of cards this time, which means that some of these messages may be for you and some of them may not. Please use your intuition to weigh in on these. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm feeling like most of you will have 3 to 4 of these that resonate, but again, use your intuition. These are what we are dealing with, what we need to be focusing on with this new moon, maybe some of the intentions that we need to set for ourselves. All right, let's start off with the Queen of Inspiration, also known as the Queen of Wands. She is powerful, but she's powerful because she allows things to come to her of their own accord. As much as this is a time to be pursuing your creative paths, pursuing things that make you feel passionate, there's not a chase element. You shouldn't have to be fighting and fighting and fighting to make it happen. There's some element of kind of like taking your hands off and allowing these things to come to you, because when you're constantly chasing, it can sometimes perpetuate this lack mindset. And the Queen of Wands knows that what she needs is coming. This is really connecting to the dark feminine in particular. So if you, and we all have this regardless of our gender, for the record, the dark feminine is our magnetism. It's our outrage, it's our voice, it's our passions that maybe are taboo. We may be stepping into unknown territory, and it's requiring us to step into our own power to be that most authentic version of ourselves. And the Queen of Wands is also very connected to the occult and the other realms, and she uses her intuition and that emotional power that I was talking about to actually access their own personal power. We have the Hanged Muse reverse, which I think we had in the last reading. It's the equivalent of the Hanged Man. And now this one means that after a period of stagnation or a period of being held back by circumstances out of your control, things are going to finally start moving forward in this cycle. If you've been feeling stuck, like you're just trying to get through the swamp, you're not being able to move forward, you've been stuck, you've been trapped, that is a feeling that is passing now or will soon be passing. That stuck, I'm not moving anywhere, I'm not going energy. It's because we've been waiting for these things to blossom. We've been waiting for these things to bloom. And now that things are starting, we're seeing that growth, you're going to start seeing the opportunities to move forward present themselves. Don't stress yourself out over it any more than you have to, because this is a time to see things with a different perspective. Be really open-minded to what this next opportunity, how you end up moving forward, may not be in the form that you think. And that's why you've been paused for so long, is because you've been having to do the introspection and the inner shifts. And in that space of stillness, there's things you've discovered that will guide you where you're going next. We have the Moon. Now, the Moon is kind of one of that feel the fear and do it anyway cards, because it's intuitively driven. This is asking you to live intuitively. My roommate and I were actually just talking this morning, and I told her, I feel like the people that aren't listening to the spiritual side, that aren't listening to their higher selves, that aren't living intuitively, I feel like if you look out at the world right now, objectively, it's a shit show. And it's hard to look at that and have faith and be able to move forward. And that it shows us our fears. It shows us where we have room for growth. And it's definitely showing us where the world needs change. And I feel like that most of us, we're a part of that. We get to be the change that we want to see. But that requires us to dig super deep into our psyche. Because again, the healing that comes after trauma is where I believe a lot of our personal power comes from. So don't be afraid of the unknown that you're being called into. It's actually where you want to go, and it's where you're going to be able to step up into that power. But you have to surrender to it to some degree. You have to surrender to the journey. You don't get to know every answer. You don't get to know exactly what you're doing. Sometimes you just have to go along for the ride. And your fear can have a voice in this. In the book Big Magic, which if you haven't read, I do highly recommend, it talks about how fear has a place in the car on the road trip, but it doesn't get to drive, it doesn't get to mess with the radio, and it definitely doesn't get to navigate. So this is up to you to hold space for those fears, but be able to overcome them because it's worth it. And where you're going, the payoff will be there. But you have to trust and you have to surrender and have faith that it's going to work out regardless of what things may look like right now. We have the Seven of Inspiration. Now, the Seven of Inspiration is also known as the Seven of Wands, is a card of like, you have to hold your ground. It's carving out a space that is yourself. You can kind of see it it has strong boundaries. It's not letting other energies in. Other energies may confuse you at this time. They may try to undermine you. Can often be people that are trying to compete with you or don't like to see your success, so try to pull you back down. But what this requires is you to create this container that you exist in. If you've never looked into concepts like shielding, I would do a little quick Google search. You can envision putting a wall around you, a shield of light, things like that. It's that kind of energy work of getting separated from everybody else's energy, because it can confuse you. Because other people's desires may not be yours, and nobody else has your intuition and lives your life and lives in your body and knows the answers better than you do. And getting away from all of the noise is going to allow you to have this kind of clarity. And this is a time to hold your ground. This isn't a time to give up ground. Things may be falling away, but you should be holding your ground regardless of what is happening outside of your control. We have Temperance, which represents balance. This is, I feel like, moving forward with equal amounts of masculine and feminine energy, again, regardless of gender. Being receptive and pursuing, knowing when to do both. It's not running hot and cold, not doing anything to extremes. Right now is about doing the middle path. And it's that middle path that allows you to move forward with the best of both worlds energy. And so look at how you can find balance and blend things for yourself, because it shows you the way forward, and that's finding that centered, balanced energy is super important too, because, I mean, it's new moon in Taurus. This is earth energy. We're dealing with fixed earth energy. It doesn't like change. It likes consistency. And knowing that having all these different things, like the blending pot that is your life of all the different energies that make it up, they are really going to guide you when you take the average of everything it is. And it's like I said, it's not being too much of one thing and then neglecting another part of you. Really focus on balance, balancing your energy, balancing the time and energy that you put out into the world versus what you receive. And then we have Awakening, which this is the Tower moment, which doesn't surprise me. Eclipses. If I had gotten through an entire eclipse reading without a Tower card, I would be shocked, personally. Because guess what? Big news, big changes, things ending, things beginning. But either way, like I said, this could be as small as an epiphany or as large as a life-shattering, life-altering event that forever alters the course of your path, of your future. So the thing about the Tower is if it hasn't hit yet, do that balancing. I feel like this kind of talks to that Temperance card too. For those of you who haven't yet experienced your eclipse moment, if you will, really try to focus on balance so that you're grounded for whatever comes up, good, bad, ugly, because something big and changing. But with this epiphany, with this new piece of information, you can never go back to where you were. It's impossible. There's a crumbling that happens with that, and you can't even go back in the building because the building's no longer standing. It's not an option to go backward. The only option, again, that we go back to that original first card out, the only option is forward at this time, regardless of the pain or suffering that you may be feeling. You have to keep moving forward, and you have the ability to do that. And then the next thing, just doubling down on that energy, is the Six of Voices, also known as the Six of Swords. And this is a card that literally means setting out into the unknown, heading to new places. This could be literal travel. This could be literally moving. This could be moving positions. Either way, you are going from somewhere that was your comfort zone and you are leaving it, and you have no idea what's up next. And guess what? That journey, that is the point right now. That journey of exploring where you're going, because again, we don't get to go back in the box. Once it's been opened, once that can of worms has been cracked open, you cannot return to how things used to be. You can't unsee what you saw. You can't unlearn what you've learned. And we are moving forward, whether you like it or not. And it's really requiring us to be willing to change, but also managing our energy in the midst of chaos or turmoil or confusion, because there is a lot of that here. You don't get to have all the information. You don't see all of what's going on. And there's a way to work smarter, not harder, that's going to allow you to really cut through the fastest, easiest, like the way that will reduce any harm, reduce any drama that doesn't need to happen. That can be minimized by following your creativity and your passions while also balancing those with your intuition. And when in doubt, when your emotions are running so high that you can't process them or things just hurt too much, that's the time to come in with your logical mind and see things for what they are. Again, those things that are falling away, let them go. They're not. Look towards the future. This isn't a time to look back. We're done with that. And moving forward is the only way that you're going to find the kind of happiness and that you seek. And it's there. It's available to you. But it's going to be a journey yet. The next 6 months are going to be a journey for all of us. And that varies for each one of us, how you look at it. This new moon is happening at 10 degrees Taurus. So if you want to look at where that falls in your own personal chart. Generally, if you go to somewhere like astro.com, you can put in your birth chart info, and around the outside of the circle, you'll see the different zodiac signs, and find where that degree is. If you need help, you can always reach out to me. I am taking personal readings. I will never DM you. I will not be reaching out to you unless you have posted and requested a reader. There have been lots of scammers around. I have not had that happen yet, but if it seems like to be only a matter of time before that kind of thing happens. So know that I will never reach out to you personally for a reading. I am here if you would like to reach out to me. You can connect with me below in the comments box with all my info, including my Instagram. But if it's not linked in the bio, in the comments, it's not me. So make sure that you are really being aware that there are people, especially with this 7 of Voices and this 10 of Voices out, there are people out there who are scared, and they're so in their fear and lack mindsets that they are preying on other people. Some people really are afraid of this change, and it can put crazy energy out there. So know that even when you're managing your own energy, be aware that other people are going to be very sensitive, especially this weekend, and knowing that expect the unexpected, expect some chaos. Some of the other planets that are involved are Jupiter, Neptune, and Uranus. So we really need to be forward thinking about our growth, our expansion, and our dreams, but avoiding emotional detachment, avoiding too much of a good thing and excess, and also especially excess, like I'm looking at you people who drink too much and like use too much substance to cope. This ain't the answer at this point. You're going to, especially with temperance involved, and just you don't want to go too far down that road because it's just going to confuse you. So really be willing to look at the things that hurt you right now with eclipses and Pluto retrograde, and see how you can see them through the lens of who you are today and not who you were when these events happened. Because the healing that comes with that is where you will find personal power. You have been through these things. You have learned things. And right now, we're all kind of fools. We're starting these new chapters. And it's a good time to set that intention for what you want that chapter to entail. And keep moving forward. Keep following your passions and your creativity. And you're going to have to get really comfortable with being in the unknown. And that unknown is actually the right place to be, even if that feels scary or terrifying. If you're not, especially if you've got fixed energy right now, I know you don't want to change. I know you don't want to do things differently. But trust me that this new chapter, this new way of being, these new ways of doing things, they're going to be so much more aligned with who you are because you're making them now. And after what we've been through for the last few years, these changes need to happen. We need this growth. We need this new life coming in because we have bigger and better things to do. And if you're ready to go on the journey with me, I know I'm diving in headfirst into all of this, straight on into my fears, standing up to my fears, and not letting them get the best of me. And that's an energy I hope you can connect to in this new moon cycle, and we'll see you in a few weeks.